Welcome to Business Notes. I'm your host, Diane Bogino. Our guest today is George Matlock. George is the owner of Your CBD Store Buckhead, providing your non-GMO, all organic CBD products that have been associated with lowering pain, promoting better sleep, and reducing inflammation. By providing a consultative approach, customers better understand the most advantageous ways to experience CBD and the wide range of products from topical creams, edibles, tinctures, and vapes. George, welcome to Business Notes and thank you for being on the show today.
Well, Diane, thank you for having me. This is my first podcast about my new venture, and so I'm super excited.
Well, that is exciting. I didn't realize this was your first one. Awesome.
I'm a newbie.
Well, that's great. I love your background. And so we'll just dive right in and tell our audience what is CBD?
The CBD, cannabidiol is what it's really called, is a non-psychoactive compound that is found in industrial hemp. That's exactly what it is.
Okay. And how are people benefiting from CBD?
Yeah, sure. Great question. So about 30 years or so, scientists found in our body an endocannabinoid system. So this system, similar to our spinal system, our nervous system, they discovered it promoted cell health. So within our cells in our body, we have CB1 and CB2 receptors, and I'll get a little scientific a little bit. And by balancing that system, we found there are some benefits. So we actually produce naturally in our body cannabinoids, and CBD is a cannabinoid. So by adding CBD in our body, we can find that balancing those cells led to some benefits, which were some reducing sensitivity to pain, reducing inflammation, promoting sleep, reducing stress. So ultimately, by adding CBD into your body, you're balancing your endocannabinoid system.
Good grief. Okay. I had no idea.
Yeah, there is a science to it, and that's where I think we're making big strides, probably in the last 3 years, where scientists are really starting to really study CBD, the holistic kind of effects. What are the benefits? How is it promoting cell health, and how is it bettering people's lives?
And I do want to point out that CBD, this product is legal in some states and not in others, but you do have the ability to, I mean, we're in Atlanta, but you have the ability to ship to states where it is legal to use CBD products. So people can actually order from you online from your website.
They can. So Your CBD, we're a national organization. We have about 600 stores throughout the US. And we strictly participate on the CBD side. So we're not on the recreation side at all. And so we can ship to anywhere where CBD is legal. So we have two ways. One, you can call me individually at the store or look at our individual website, which is www.buckhead0142 at .cbdrx4u.com. Or easily, you can go to my website, which is yourcbdadvice.com, and we have a shop now button. And if you click that button, it'll come directly to us and we ship directly to you.
Okay, great. And no international shipping as of now.
We don't, because of laws and just how things are done, we don't ship internationally. So there is some way to participate if you're in Canada and Mexico, but from my store, I only ship within the US and only states where CBD is legal. And
Okay.
unfortunately, there are some products that have some stipulations. So not all products, vaping products aren't necessarily able to be shipped right now. So you know, the laws are changing all the time right now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So we've established some points about legality and non-legality. If I were to take your product, would it make me high?
It's non-psychoactive, right? So CBD, unlike THC, so many people, all of it is from cannabis or industrial hemp, and so many people are associated with the THC side. So within Georgia, the legal limit for THC in our products is 0.3%, right? So 0.3%, that's a very, very small amount of THC. And then we have products. So within our store, you can see behind us, we have broad spectrum and full spectrum. Our broad spectrum product has no detectable THC. So if you are subject to a drug screen, you may want to stay on that side of the product. That's why all of our products within our store, we tend to carry in two forms: full spectrum, which can have up to that legal limit of 0.3%, and then broad spectrum, which has no detectable THC. Of course, you are ingesting something and it depends on the test. Some tests are much more sensitive than others. So you want to necessarily be careful about that. And then laws are changing. Employers are definitely kind of exploring, HR departments are understanding that people are taking CBD for health issues. And so there, and then there are many states where it's legal. So we're kind of working through all of that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I did read something about that recently where drug testing may be going away the way of the dinosaur. So good to know. And you are in the insurance industry. So this is a great segue to my next question. Are you an advocate for including CBD in health benefit programs?
Absolutely, and thank you for asking that as well. Yeah, that's in my second life. I came from the insurance environment and helped employers, from an employee benefits perspective, and insure their assets. And so we see a big push within the industry from a health perspective because, again, health insurance companies want to make you as healthy as possible, right? And so they save money by making you healthy. Here's a new product that's on the market that is promoting health. So that's that symbiotic relationship we have. And then we're finding that FSAs are starting to become a lot more aware that people are looking to purchase CBD. And so some FHA organizations or companies are actually being able to pay it within your program. So you definitely want to talk to your HR provider to see if CBD is allowed on your health plan.
Interesting. That's good. That's also good to know. Yeah. So, what is the difference, George, between the products that you sell and the things that people might find out on the internet?
I get that question every day. I think that's one of those good ones. So one of the things, our product, so your CBD, we only have one premier product, and that's SunMed. It's grown in Oregon. We process in North Carolina, and we're based out of Florida. So one, we're a local organization to the U.S. Two, all of our products are non-GMO. All of our products are organic. And all of our products include third-party testing. So one of the things that people have found on the internet is you're not sure of what you're getting. And these products are ingested, right? So you have to be very, very careful of what processes they're taking, how are they processing it, how are they growing it, what type of pesticides are they using. All of those things really, really matter with CBD growth, right? And so that's a big difference. And then making sure that you're getting the amount of CBD that it's actually saying on the bottle. We have multiple people who come in and they said, I tried this, I bought it on the internet, and we look at it and they thought they were buying 1,000 milligrams of CBD, and on the back they bought 10 milligrams of CBD. And then there's a bunch of additives in there. So that's the big issue. And I think we have a much more of a consultative approach. I want people to come in and really live life with us, right? So it takes us about a month or so to really understand how can CBD help you? How can you consume it? We have multiple ways to consume it. Not everyone, people who may be ill and can't really ingest something, vaping may be great for them, right? Because they are having digestive issues or maybe severe nausea. So vaping is a great way to get CBD and start getting those benefits, but without having to consume something that way. We have edibles. So the tincture product, you really need to be on that product 5 to 7 days before you see the maximum benefits. But once you're on that product that long, you may get about 8 hours of relief. So someone buys a tincture product from the internet, they don't know you need to be on that product 5 to 7 days. They give it 1 day and they're like, hey, it didn't work. And so we're seeing a lot of people frustrated about CBD. And so that's where you're getting that consultative approach. You have someone who can take you through the products, can really understand what are you dealing with, how can we help, and how can we take you through this process.
Wow, you almost sound like a pharmacist, my goodness.
I do feel like one a little bit sometimes.
Speaking of CBD and business, you're a franchise, so I'd like for you to tell the audience a little bit about what it takes to get into this business. I assume there's a big upfront cost on this particular business. It is retail, and you do have to have uh, product or inventory. So talk to us about that, George.
Your CBD is about 3 years old. We have grown tremendously in those years. And as I said, we have about 600 locations. So right now, our biggest issue is finding territory that we're not all up on top of each other, right? And so finding a good location is critical, part of the process. The upfront cost, that there's a fairly nominal amount of money to get in. It's about $5,000 from a franchise perspective. But you do have to, your first order from the franchise is about that $25,000 range. So you're talking about $30,000 just your initial investment. And that's without getting any of the furnishings, any of your leads, doing any type of build out. So if you're, kind of looking at, and I know that if you go to our website for the company, if you Google Sunflora, which is the parent company, you can find a lot of information about franchising, but probably you're sub $100,000 of that initial investment to probably get in and hire your employees and training, that type of investment, and giving you time to grow. We are still in a growth mode. We're still dealing with COVID. So shopping is still down, unfortunately, but we've had month over month growth. I started my store in December, and it's been very, very successful so far, and hoping as we come out of this pandemic is even more successful. So as a business owner, you have to take all of those things into consideration. And again, as every business book says, location, location, location is critical.
Right. I think yours is awesome in Buckhead, near Lenox, right?
Correct, right. We're right down the street from Piedmont Hospital, within walking distance of Piedmont Hospital. We're in the shops of Buckhead. So 2221 Peachtree Road, Suite V, Atlanta, Georgia, 30309.
Okay, great. Getting back to the business aspect, George, I did a little research, and I read one post where it said banks were hesitant to give loans to CBD retail places. So don't put that term in the name of your business. Are is that loosening up where banks are really more ready to give loans to this business?
Some. So there have been issues, and fortunately, from a franchise network, we do have internal kind of communication. So as franchisees, we're always supporting each other and kind of highlighting here's opportunities with banks that are becoming a lot more friendly to CBD. So because of how CBD is looked at from a federal level, banks kind of are governed that way as well. And many of them have just not taken that opportunity to really explore the difference between CBD, other parts of the industry. They lump us all within that cannabis, whether it's recreational or not. So there was a little bit of due diligence to really find a bank that would support us, and process. And we have a great relationship with a credit card processing company. And that's why the franchise helps. I do have the power of a large franchise, and I don't have to go to banks really individually. And so the franchise network does help provide, here's some banks that will support CBD businesses, here credit card processing, and then how does that affect your individual store within states, because different states look at it differently as well.
Hmm, great information. And finally, George, every business has a story, and I'd like to hear yours about what prompted you to get into this business.
Sure, sure. So I am one of those success stories. So funny enough, 10 months ago now, I knew nothing about CBD. I am an avid runner and a tennis player, and had neck issues for a long time, a lot of neck pain for about 3 years, and did chiropractor, and just was really working on it, and had numbness in both of my hands and just couldn't sleep very well. And finally, it started to kind of move down into numbness in my feet. And I was like, okay, this is starting to get kind of serious. So I went to an orthopedic and went through physical therapy, and finally got to the point of needing an MRI. And out of that MRI, I was diagnosed with arthritis in my neck. And so from that, I started getting some shots. They put me on a medication called gabapentin. And something about my body at 100 milligrams, I couldn't feel anything and I was still in pretty much pain. And then at 300 milligrams, I couldn't function. I literally couldn't do my job. I couldn't get out of bed. And I was talking, I have a really good friend who's a radiation oncologist here in Atlanta. And I was kind of explaining to him what was going on with me. And he was like, have you heard of CBD? And I was like, I know people get high. That's not what I'm looking to do. He's like, no, that's not it. Look at CBD. And I'm one of those people who wandered into your CBD store here in Atlanta. And an associate took me through a really involved kind of consultative approach. And I bought the products. I went home and I took them like I was supposed to. I really committed to taking to CBD and look back and I was like, this is working for me. And it started working more and more. I'm not sure how others feel, but I was one of those people that right at the beginning of the pandemic, I became very anxious and I didn't understand that as well. And I went to my primary care and he prescribed me some medication because I was just having a really anxiety from just being stuck at home. I have a family and that, the industry of insurance had changed. And so I was figuring all that out. And so, look, I'm not on any of that medication. I don't take the gabapentin. I don't take any medicine for my anxiety, and CBD was really, really working for me. Now, the bigger piece of convincing was my wife to open up a CBD business in the middle of a pandemic. So me taking CBD was one thing, convincing my wife that we needed to invest in a business in a retail in the middle of a pandemic. But I started talking to her about it. I called them and I started the franchise process. And one morning we were sitting at breakfast and she was like, you're having this great night's sleep. What is going on? She had just saw me tossing and turning for so many years, being just in pain. And she's like, this product is really working for you. And I was like, hey, I told you, I really believe in this. And so we kind of went from there. And she's like, hey, I give you my blessing. Let's see about this opportunity. And that started me to open my store in Buckhead in December.
Great story. George, number one, thank you for being first on Business Notes, your first podcast. And I appreciate you bringing the information to our audience about this emerging industry. Thank you for your time today.
No, thank you, Diane. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching Business Notes. We've been speaking with George Matlock, owner of your CBD store, Buckhead, providing your non GMO, all organic CBD products. I'm your host, Diane Bogino, bringing you business ideas you can bank on.